Three, two, one, ghost. Hey, everybody. Welcome to 321 Ghost. It's me. It's your guy, your host with Silent G. I'm Kyle. It's nice to see you all, hear you all. I guess I'm not hearing you. You're hearing me, so we can scratch that in editing. I'm joined, as always, by my pal, Natalie. How are you?
Hi, Kyle. Hi, y'all. How's it going?
It's going okay. I'm going to be really upfront here. I've been trying to do that lately. Just start right up front with my feelings here,
You
especially
absolutely
with my
should.
hot takes. Not really big into vampire movies,
Okay.
just in general.
That is a hot take, and I'll tell everyone why. We're talking about we're talking about a vampire movie and a vampire movie that Kyle chose.
Yeah, I did.
So let's just put that out there. Just air that out.
So we're talking about 1985's Fright Night. I chose this movie. You remember when we were talking about, our spooky picks for, different kind of subgenres and categories. And I think we both picked the same vampire movies, right? Didn't we say From Dusk Till Dawn and Buffy?
Yes.
Which are still pretty fun. I like them.
Mm-hmm.
But those movies and this movie, I really treat as exceptions. I don't, maybe it might even be a hotter take that I'm not really big into zombies, or it's not really my first choice for that. But and remember, because I was kind of dodging that when we were talking about zombie movies. That was very broad. I can't say why. I think that I've certainly tried. I think these movies, are the ones that I brought up, and then Fright Night and its remake are good. Maybe just I don't know, what makes those different. I think I like my vampires being monstrous, having that aspect to them. Yeah, I don't know. I think I just get kind of bored by it, But at the same time, I'll, put someone in any sort of mask and have them murder some people on any sort of holiday, then and I'm good and I enjoy it. But I don't know.
I think I can take a guess as to what separates the movies that you listed of vampire movies that you like versus the one maybe like all of the others. It's a comedic element. The vampires can be very serious, can be very somber, and if you take it a little bit lighter and a little less serious, vampires can actually be like one of the more fun genres, I think. Because the first thing that comes to mind for me, like movies, like vampire movies that are most loved, is Interview with a Vampire, which I remember you said you were not a fan of.
I don't think I've seen it the whole way through.
It's long, so that's understandable. It's too long. It's as long as their lifetime. But I don't mind serious vampire things, and maybe this is a hot take, but gosh, I hope everyone doesn't hate me if you're a fan of vampire things, but vampires felt very like adolescent times for me. And it could be because of when Buffy the Vampire Slayer started. But when you're like a teenager, there's something so mystifying about vampires, and I have a lot of notes about that. But I don't know. As I got older, I realized the same thing that I actually really liked more funny comedic elements to my vampire stories than that super over the top serious Anne Rice like type of vampire that like they're dark and brooding and just it's so much drama rather than the fun and the horror of it. So I think that could be the difference here because I also agree. Fright Night, the remake is actually in my list of favorites.
I absolutely agree, and I'll probably be talking about the remake a little bit
A little bit.
as we go. I think you touched on some of it pretty well. I don't think I have found myself sexually attracted to vampires or the idea of vampires, like many preteens and teens and older adults are,
Hmm.
possibly want to do. I don't know. Yeah, because I guess,
Just on record, I have absolutely
well,
1000%. I have. And
I think that's but I say I think, and maybe that's like what, it's like if you, if it's Angel, or Spike,
it's Spike. It's Spike.
whatever Spike, yes, whatever side of the aisle you're on, and it's, yeah, I guess you don't really want to have sex with Swamp Thing, huh? So,
No.
so there's a little bit of that, so the little danger in that eroticism, I suppose.
And I also want to make it very clear to everyone because I mentioned Buffy and I purposely left out Twilight, but now I feel like I do need to bring Twilight up. I don't fuck with Twilight. I didn't read those books. I won't read those books. I was gifted those books by your wife. Do you remember that?
You're giving me a look like it's my fault.
No, I felt bad because I was just like, thank you so much. I'm not going to read these. One, I don't read fiction ever. And two, I was like, I'm never going to watch these movies. Like it was too I felt like that was the point where I was like, I'm not going to go back and watch these because I've found my vampire romance. Like, it was of the past. And yeah, I don't mess with Twilight. So I think it's because of the seriousness of it.
I was working at a bookstore, now defunct, Borders, in the Stonestown Galleria Mall in San Francisco. And this was before the Twilight movie came out. So there was, I think, at least, I'm sorry, I don't know. I think there were like probably like a few books at that point, like eight, or at least three of the four core ones, I believe.
I
And
thought there's only three, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
there's four because it's, oh Jesus, I can't remember. Don't worry, I'm not even going to try it. But so there was this event, naturally at the Hot Topic in the mall. Robert Pattinson was going to be there, like signing,
Wow,
you
that's a big
know,
deal.
chiked, spiked chokers, or, you know, Invader Zim t-shirts, or, whatever else you find in a Hot Topic. But and this was before the movie even came out, so I don't think that there was even like a trailer at this point. I think there was just announced that like this dude was going to be playing
Like promoting.
this person. But I guess at this point he was probably, I haven't seen those Harry Potter movies either, and I think he's in one of those, I believe, right? So maybe there was some familiarity with who this person was, but I think just the idea that this person is playing Edward just automatically made him, I don't know, like just the like
Sex
people are
symbol.
just, yeah. And
They were
so
ready for it.
they canceled the event because all these women were like trampling over each other, and I think we're trying to like shove themselves up against, like, like the glass, like windows on that side, and like that broke a little bit, and one of the girls, like, they got, nearly suffocated.
That's terrible.
And you're like, this movie isn't even fucking out yet, and it's just like, there's, so I don't know. So when I,
I mean, like I get it to a certain extent. Like you say, like, like what do they call it? Like Beatles mania. That was like the first time that like women were like running down the street knocking each other over for these guys, and the same thing happened like in the 90s with all the boy bands. I'm gonna let's just call people out on their shit. Like, are you that desperate for the D? Like, you can't find someone who looks similar in your life. Like, you have to like trample other people to be close to this person that probably isn't going to acknowledge your existence. It's wild. There's some horny ladies.
and people still go to Forks. That's out here, and I live in,
This forks.
it's in the islands outside of Seattle, like kind of more like
Oh, is that
Olympic
where they
Islands.
filmed it?
Yeah, and it's a real town.
Okay.
It's out there. So like they, they're good. Them in North Bend, the one that, like, a lot of places kind of, they film Twin Peaks up here too. So I feel
Hmm.
like a lot of those smaller towns, then they just, like, that's just how they generate their revenue, is
Good for
just by
them.
visitors and shit. So it's
Yeah.
like, make it work. have a sparkly baseball event every year. I don't know. They might, but I'm sure they have something like that. Some sort of convention, I'm sure. Yeah, so I hadn't seen Fright Night in a really long time. This movie directed by Tom Holland. Not
Heyo.
not the
Not
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Not the Spider-Man Tom Holland. This was a lovely collaboration between him and Chris Sarandon. Do you know what movie they did after this?
Child's Play.
Fuck yeah.
So Tom Holland directed Child's Play, but this was the first time that he had directed, which I think he did a great job.
I think so too. I think that, yeah, because he was a writer, and then got a chance to do this movie, and then co-wrote A Child's Play with Don Mancini
Mm-hmm.
and directed it. And dude, just Tom Holland, Chris Sarandon. It's only, I think there was like a TV movie after that too. I think they did together, but I think that's enough. You got, fuck. You think Scorsese, De Niro, Holland, Sarandon. I don't know. Like that's a 1-2 punch of just
Okay.
nothing but
I I went on like maybe an internet black hole might be an exaggeration. I watched like 2 YouTube videos of like 10 facts you didn't know about Fright Night. And a lot of them I already knew. So I was like, okay, everybody calm down. These aren't secrets. But one thing that I did not know was that Chris Sarandon actually did not want to be in this movie. He was like, no, thank you to a first time director. No, thank you to a horror movie. I'm not playing a vampire. That's ridiculous. And then I guess he read the screenplay and was like, this sounds awesome. Sign me up. And I was like, yeah, great. That's awesome. Also, Chris Sarandon in the 80s. Yes, 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 yes.
dude. They put him in some good outfits in this movie too. He's always
That
looking good.
scarf, like
Yeah.
the 80s of that, like that trench coat that he wears with
The
that
white trench
scarf.
coat with the scarf, so good.
Uh,
And then and it's just like the sweater on top of the other like turtleneck sweater, and
oh my gosh, yes.
his whole thing. He was looking great the entire
Mm.
time. Gosh, and
How old do we think he was? Like early 30s?
yeah, I think
It's hard
so.
to tell in the 80s. Everyone looks 30.
I know. That's hard. I want to say he was probably, yeah, I think he was in his 30s at some point there, because I was looking it up because he's like 65 now or somewhere around there. I was looking up some of the cast. Also, just because I wanted to see what the age gap was between him and
Oh, you did look up the ages.
yeah, between him
Okay.
and Amanda Bears. I don't know how you pronounce
I don't
that.
know how to pronounce it, but I've always known her as Marcy.
Marcy Darcy.
Marcy
Yeah,
Darcy.
dude. Yeah, I know she's great. It's funny. It's funny like in those shows like Married with Children and The Simpsons, they're the characters that I just didn't understand and didn't find funny as a kid. It's like when I'm a kid, I like Al Bundy and Homer Simpson and Bart. And the
Hmm.
older I get, the more I realize like Marge is like the funniest character on that fucking show. And like Marcy is like the funniest character on that fucking show.
I
And
love Marcy.
so but those are the two things she was kind of known for. And but
Hmm.
gosh, the character she plays here is, I was like, I couldn't like quite put, so like I know she's like in her early 20s when she's filming this. I
Hmm.
know the character is supposed to be 17.
Hmm.
Sometimes I feel like she's playing her like a 9-year old. um
I have so many thoughts about the character of Amy. Um, she the way that they wardrobe her, I fucking get it. There's so many aspects to this. 80s fashion, then you've got, she's supposed to seem more innocent. Like we get her, we change her wardrobe as she's getting more enthralled, with Jerry. But there's one point where she has two, I hope you know what a claw clip is. She has two giant claw clips on each side of her head. No one has ever done that. I don't care what fucking decade it is. That hairstyle is the worst. Her outfits gave me anxiety. Like she was like a child. I
Yeah, they
could.
give her like a little bow and like the overalls,
It was
and
terrible.
she just, even the way she like talked was
Mhm.
is just like Charlie, blah, 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 blah. And
Yes.
it was very just unsettling to me. But really, I mean, as far as as far as our three leads, as far as like the three kids here, she I find her the least obnoxious out of the three.
Shut the
I
front door.
oh,
No, absolutely not. No, 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 no. Evil Ed, whatever the fuck his name is, that character is not charming at all to me. I think he's a fan favorite. I fucking can't stand him at
no,
all.
no, I'm telling you that I agree. I think that she is the least obnoxious out of
No,
the
I
three.
think Charlie,
No,
yes, this
no, I
is
gotta,
okay.
let's
No.
hop,
Okay. No, 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 no. You don't get to move forward just yet. I'm going to tell
gloves
you
off.
something about the actor. Okay, so how do you pronounce it? William Ragsdale? Is that
Sure,
right?
sure.
Ragsdale? Okay. I have a soft spot for him because he is in one of my worst favorite movies. And I say worst favorite movies because everyone I show it to that didn't see it as a child thinks it's the worst movie ever. It's wonderful. It's called Mannequin on the Move. It is the sequel to the movie Mannequin, which is meh.
Hmm.
It's a gem.
It's like a Godfather Part Two, where like the
Yes,
sequels surpasses the original, kind of.
exactly. It is
Mm.
the most over the top, ridiculous movie you've ever seen. It has Christy Swanson as well. So I'm biased, is what I'm saying.
I guess just Mannequin. Everyone's like, oh, okay, Mannequin. But Mannequin on the Move, you're like, well, that
Yeah.
Mannequin's moving. I need to watch this movie.
There's it's action packed. It's
I am,
fantastic.
yeah, I don't know if that's gonna move the needle for me much. I think this would be a good time just to hop right into the movie because
Yep.
we, open with just a lot of really just excessive kissing sounds. As we're zooming into this bedroom window, and then you're hearing, Peter Vincent's Fright Night
Mhm.
doing his whole thing,
Ah, Peter
and
Vincent. Love him.
and you are introduced to Charlie being just really just,
A teenager.
I would say, a little more aggressively rapey
Okay.
than
I've got thoughts here. So first of all, this scene is opening to a situation that everyone should be familiar with. Like the making out on the bed for endless amounts of time as teenagers is like the
I made a
like
note, actually, not on the bed for some reason,
oh on the
on the
floor. Yeah,
floor
they're on the floor. Yeah.
next to the bed. Okay, sure.
Yeah, which is a weird choice. So like he's doing the thing that is annoying as fuck and like always crosses the line of like why aren't we having sex? Like what's stopping you? Why do you always tell me to stop? And like he's being super obnoxious. So she's like okay, like let's just do it. So this is where I get annoyed with her
Wow, that is
because
not how I read that at
no,
all.
I know. I know. I knew we were going to go we're going to butt heads a lot on this because and it's not even from like a pressure standpoint. It's from a like girl, like are you even turned on? He's being a total dick. He's not paying attention to you at the next point. He's looking out the fucking window being a peeping tom. So, and you're sitting there like with your shirt off and eventually she like covers up. But I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, are you all really going to try to fuck under these circumstances? And we don't even know that the mom is right downstairs yet. We don't even know that part yet. So, in this situation, I hate them both. I hate this situation. I can't stand it.
I mean, when they're making out, I don't know. I felt like I have, I don't know. I've been in situations in high school where it was like, hey, this is new, kissing only. And it's like, you just respect that. And but it's just like, it's just hard. I felt like the movie, spoiler alert, the movie's just the constant obstacle this movie has is just trying to overcome the fact that I hate Charlie so fucking much that I just root for him to lose at every
He's
corner.
he's
He
quite
is
dumb.
he is a bad friend. He is a fucking terrible, abusive boyfriend. And that's why clearly you don't see him have any other fucking friends. And I don't even know if those people are his friends. But like he's trying to, put his hand up her shirt, right? She says
Yeah.
no, right? Immediately tries to do it again. And she's like, fucking Charlie,
Yeah.
I fucking told you. And then he
Yeah.
goes, like, all I ever hear is Charlie, stop it. And I'm like, how many times does she have to say that to you? And clearly it's not fucking working, bro. And then, but the challenge, this movie just fucks me up, man. The 80s. It's,
Yeah.
because she like on a dime will immediately be like, no, no, I'm sorry, it's my fault.
Oh,
And
yeah.
let me
And
have sex with you. And when she's on like the bed, like she like is looking like she is terrified. She
yeah.
is scared of doing this. She is so uncomfortable right now. Yet and I'm just thinking this poor teenage girl, like, ooh, this awful just pressure that she is under. And he can't, and the dude, and he just like, and just like also like will just ignore her immediately too. She's gonna give him exactly what he wants. So he's like, oh, never mind, I want to see this now.
Yeah.
He is a dickhead like the whole way through.
Well, and that's
I
that's the thing about like this type of situation. Like it, to your point, like she says no, stop, and he goes to do it again. And I can't count on two hands like how many times that has happened in real life for me as, a teenager or an adult. So there's this like I don't remember how this thought like came up in my brain or like what was the catalyst for it. I was like, okay. I was like, in order for her to say no or yes and give consent, he does need to ask. So like you have to ask at least once, right? So once you get your no or you get your stop, then that's your cue to be like, okay, we're just making out then. Or we're watching Peter Vincent. Like it's all good. It's the asking like multiple times that is like is a lot. But then the other thing too, like that I think about, like, because you said like, she looks like really like nervous and scared on the bed. And she says that she's like, she's scared to try. Um, I also think though, I'm like, as a teenager, like, of course you're going to be scared of sex. Like you're going to be scared of your first time. So it's like her being scared isn't being scared of him, although he's being pushy and being a dick. It's her also being scared of the actual act itself. So if she's feeling that scared, then it's not the right time. Like we're not doing it today. Like we're putting our top back on, we're not having sex. Like we just had an argument about it. So that was my big note. Like I was like, are we really gonna have sex for the first time? Like while you're mad at each other, your mom's downstairs, like, rewarding him for that like shitty behavior, like all the things. I know, like it's not gonna stop you from having sex because your mom's downstairs. Like been there, done that. But like it's the first time,
I
the head nod that you all couldn't see of like
the I don't know. I think it just clearly, and this isn't the only thing. I think it just clearly demonstrates there's asshole selfish teenager, but damn, Charlie sucks. Like there's no redeeming quality that he has. It's not
okay.
like he's the funny one. It's not like he is really does anything to kill the vampires. I mean, come on, that's all Peter Vincent
Oh yeah,
generally,
he's a vampire
and
killer.
so he's just pretty useless the whole time. So I don't know.
He is at a 10 also. Like he's at a 10 like the whole time. Um which can be a lot. And when he's not like super loud and saying dumb things, like it's like you got to learn when to say you think someone's a vampire. You can't start with that. Don't start
No.
with that. But like him watching through the window, like outside makes sense. He sees the coffin. How are we going to present that information in a way that's useful? He does not do it. Like he's not listening to anything that Marcy's saying, and I get that. But how are you presenting this? What does he say? He's like, there's a coffin going into the house next door, as there's a coffin like being lifted on the movie because he's a horror fan. And I was like, I kind of feel bad for him that like no one believed him just because he watches a bunch of vampire movies. Um, if I said there was like a mass killer stalking me, like I would hope that you'd believe me.
I think that we would be a little more apt to believe him if he wasn't just like sexually assaulting her and then just ignoring her during, and then she apologizes, and then I did
He
like,
ignores her for the whole first act of the movie, really.
oh my god, it's just like, towards the end where he's just like, oh my god, this is clearly the only woman that will date me or be around me, so I should probably be invested in trying to save her. But they're like making out and he's trying to get all handsy and she's like, oh no, look, it's, he points to the TV being like, it's Peter Vincent, you love him. That'd probably work for me. I'd be like, ooh. Be like, hey, Tales from the Crypt's on. I'm like, ooh, okay.
Yeah. All right. Pause.
Yeah,
Pause on this.
pause.
It's time to watch Tales from the Crypt.
let me watch this Crypt Keeper.
No titties today.
That dude's a rascal. And then same thing between him and Ed. Now, the only people that don't call him evil, which he continually asks, please don't call me that.
Yeah, why do they call him that? I did not understand.
I don't know what he does that's particularly evil. But,
yeah, he seems just like an obnoxious prankster type of kid.
And as much as I can't handle him, and I don't think anything's particularly evil, but also like, the only people that don't call him that are like Peter Vincent, and as well as the vampire. Yeah. So like just like the people, the adults just treating him with just a little bit of respect, even when Charlie is like desperate. And I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but he's just like, evil Ed, come on, I need you, like, please, you got to help me, with this help me with this vampire. You're the only one. And I'm just like, even at Charlie's most desperate and going to his only friend, I think they're friends, but like the only friend we see in this movie, and he still can't bring himself to just not call him evil like Ed asked.
I think even in that moment he says, like,
yeah, he's don't call me that,
like, in that moment.
So when Ed just gives himself up to the, I mean I know that there's that kind of like that mind control spell situation that vampires do, but I don't blame Ed and I don't blame Marcy either. I think that they're both Amy, you called her Marcy earlier.
Did I?
Yeah,
Shit.
So I'm rolling with it.
Okay, we're gonna switch back and forth between Amy and Marcy. Deal with it, everybody.
Oh yeah, I think I was just calling one kid Jumanji because he was in Jumanji. I think that's the Halloween H2O. I can't remember, but yeah. So I don't know where I was going with all this. They were better off with the vampire. I like rather than being with Charlie and just serving that fucker's needs the whole time. I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
the
remake, on the other hand, you like he's likable.
Yes, and he's also a lot smarter because he's quieter and he's like thinking things through and watching things a little bit more, like, but also his mom, she's not in this movie a lot. But she also isn't very smart. Like, not to, like, I don't want to like skip ahead. We can move our way back again, but like when she invites Jerry over, he is saying things that are clearly very over, like, past boundaries. Like, he says that he'll be coming over often whenever he likes or something of that nature.
She's like, I did not say that.
What did you just say? Yeah, like, I feel like you need to leave. Like, you're just gonna let him say that to your son? That's odd.
Also just for clarity, and maybe this is the other thing, that makes vampire movies a little difficult, is this inconsistency of what vampires can and can't do. I was curious, because
it's pretty classic.
You watch a lot of Buffy, and you've at least that vampire lore a little bit. So when you are welcomed into a house, Even just the one time, like I'm pretty sure the one time means you're forever, you're good,
Yep,
you're in,
you're
unless there's
good.
some sort of
You have to do some.
anti-welcome
Yep,
spell, which I'm
there
sure
sure is.
Buffy has one. Yeah,
Hmm. Of
and
course she does. Come on now. Is
yeah,
this amateur hour?
I like that no matter what, there's always a spell to undo, to exactly undo the spell that you did. So
Yeah.
that's
It can
how
undo plot holes.
how convenient is that? But I was wondering, do you get access to the entire house?
Yeah.
Really? So like, I'm
Yeah.
thinking like if it's my room, I'm like, well, no, I did not give that up. But the parents are the
Nope.
ones paying the mortgage, so they're the ones that
It's
maybe get to decide.
the whole house. So it has to be, from my understanding, Buffy and a few others. You need to be someone who lives there to invite the person into the house. So like
I do
you
need to
couldn't
be
you
on
couldn't invite
the.
someone into my house,
Do you
or
need
you
to like
couldn't
be on the
invite a
lease?
vampire. No, I mean it's fucking magic. Like the house knows who lives there.
What does that mean? Because I know there's like squatters' rights laws. Like, what does that mean if like someone
If
refuses
like
to
someone's
leave the
just kind of
house?
like, if someone's like staying there, that I don't know.
And
I
then
don't
do
know.
they get the opportunity to invite vampires in? And also, I think that if I can't count my basement as square footage for the rest of my house, I don't think that that should count for vampire entry either.
It does
So,
though. It does.
hmm,
Yeah, it
I
definitely
just
does.
okay. The other thing too is that I was reading a little bit, and by reading a little bit, I mean I looked at the Wikipedia, and the other thing too is that he's like eating apples, and I was like, I thought vampires like just like can't like digest
Do you
normal
know
human
why he
food
was eating the fruit? This is fun.
because he's a part fruit bat.
Yeah, I was like, that's a fun little thing. But there's okay, so that's something that varies in a lot of vampire mythology, is whether or not they can eat food. So in some, they are literally grossed out by food, and others, like they can drink, they can eat, like all the things, and they're fine. But in my mind, the vampire that I like to think of, like they should be able to eat and drink regular food, because if you're going to be posing as a human and make it in like moving around in the human world, you're have to eat in front of people.
Yeah, you're gonna get roped into a work happy hour,
Yes.
right? And show up to
But
one of
yeah,
those
because
things.
you definitely work at night, so
There's
you
late
need
happy hours. There's
yeah.
late night happy hours. There you go. Just
Yeah.
go to the Applebee's or the Chili's. I'm sure they do some. They've got some sort
Yeah.
of special going on.
And that's another thing, is the shape shifting. Like some vampire lore, you're a bat. Others, you're just a person that, like, maybe your face changes, maybe it doesn't, maybe the fangs just come out. So there's a lot of nuance.
I like the one where this kind of follows as well as Buffy, where just like when vampires get real angry, that's when
Mhm.
they get that's just that
Yeah,
that
you get
then they turn a
pissed.
little monstrous.
Yeah, if you get angry or hurt or apparently very hungry, like that would prompt your face or your fangs to change. I think one of the really fun things about this, that's like subtle, but you notice it throughout, is Jerry's hands and his nail length changes. So the first time they show his hands, when Carly is just being a total peeping Tom, because we don't know that he's a vampire, and he's just watching him love up on this woman.
You continue to
Um,
defend him. He is a
no,
pervert and a weirdo.
but but you see his hand, like his nails like have a certain length to them, not the longest that they'll be in the movie, but they are longer. And I remember being like thinking like, oh yeah, okay, Chris, like you're looking good, like. And then I was like, oh, that hand though, like you could tell the fingers were longer, the nails were longer, like they extend the length of his fingers too.
Well, first that was very weird when they're standing right in that window because I felt like even the woman in the window, as she was taking her top off, was looking directly at Charlie, which is
Mm,
very strange. It looked like she like
she was looking off to the side. Like she was looking out the window for sure, but not like right straight across at Charlie. It's strange because she definitely doesn't notice him until you see Jerry look through the window and like close the blinds, and she's like, "What the fuck is this creep like watching us?" You can see her face change.
At first, when I saw his hand, I was just like, oh, that just looks just kind of more of like a feminine hand with like, maybe like longer, slender fingers, and then with the longer nails. I'm not saying that's, but
Yeah.
it's, but so I was like, oh, that's just, is that vampiric? That's just, he just has
No,
fancy,
but
nice little hands.
his
His nice little ring on it.
if you look closely at his hands when like for instance in the scene where he is wearing like the white turtleneck underneath the sweater and his hands look completely normal, the length of his fingers are different. His fingers are longer when his nails are longer. So it's almost like as if there's not like an extra knuckle, but it like in between each like bend of the finger, it looks slightly longer. And that's why that threw me off because I was like, oh, those are monster hands. Those are not like, oh, my nails are just not clipped. Like I leave them a little long. Like, but also like maybe for some of the things he wants to do, like maybe we don't want long nails for certain places.
Have you ever done that thing where you make your nails like pointy? You get like
Oh
pointy
yeah.
like acrylics on there.
I had pointy acrylics for years.
Oh, really? Oh, see, just
Yeah. This is the first year that I have not. And I feel like I like my fingers to be long. Like I like them to feel longer.
yeah. I
Feels
don't know.
kind of creepy, kind of creepy, kind of like feminine though at the same time,
Sounds kind
you
of
know?
fun. I like that. We're only introduced to. Well, here we can just kind of play just some quick catch up, really quick. Plot wise, is nobody's believing this whole vampire thing.
Mm-hmm.
His mom's just like, no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Fucking, Ed's like, absolutely not. I like how they meet at this diner, and you've got Amy, who's immediately like, hey, I'm sorry
In her
about what
dumb
happened.
outfit.
Yeah, she's like, I'm sorry. It was no, she goes, I'm sorry. It was my fault. And then Charlie goes, it was. And she goes, and she doesn't explain how any of that was her fault.
Yeah.
She just continues on, and he just nods, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess it was her fault. Whatever
Well,
was
and
going on.
this is one of the problems. This is one of the problems with the 80s is even if it is completely his fault, she's still going to rework that. And if she would have told that story to a friend or to her mom, maybe not her mom because she's 17, but like they would have fed into the narrative of it being her fault of her overreacting or like, like, well, you have been going out for a year. Like, you know what I mean? So like her giving that narrative totally fits what would have happened at that time. Like not, and I'm not saying that's the right thing. I'm saying that that's like, I will never forget this. RIP to my great grandma. But worst advice I've ever been given in my life and totally unsolicited. I had mentioned that Joel and I were having a fight. I'm still really pissed with him. And she was like, oh, is that why he didn't come today? And I was like, yeah, we had a fight. She goes, well, the best thing you can do in a marriage is, if he wants sex, just lay there, let him do his thing, and then you can work things out in the morning. But it's always important to just make sure, that you provide that. And I was like, it is not that time of that is not our generation's narrative. But that is a woman giving another woman terrible advice. Like, and that's where those fucking stupid statements of like, this was my fault, like come from. And that's where men get even worse because Charlie's like, oh, I guess it was her fault. It's like, I'm doing all the right things.
Then
Like,
onto the plot, and then he goes and then immediately then ignores her again.
yeah,
To go because the TV's on talking about the murders that have happened,
yeah.
of women allegedly in the life that he saw walk into
Yes, yes.
Chris
The
Sarandon's house,
yeah,
Jerry's
the
house. Yeah, nobody's believing him, and then it gets to the point where he brings the police over, and again, because he does have a point. He's like, look, okay, I won't bring up the vampire stuff, but
yeah.
those women are dead, and I did
I saw them.
I was the last person to see them alive, so I feel like
Yeah.
I should mention that.
But also,
And
why is that detective taking a teen boy with him to investigate this? Like, he has no business being there in that house while he's being questioned. Like, that should have been anonymous for his safety. It's a little
especially,
outrageous.
yeah, considering that there were just like multiple murders, and then if Ed was right, they all had their heads chopped off.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I don't know if that's good to just put this poor boy in the crosshairs.
Yeah.
And and then also, that's where we'd met him before a little bit, but his live-in carpenter, I think, is
Yeah.
how his mom thought it was. Has there ever is that common, a live-in carpenter?
I've never heard of that in my life. I also am so curious, like, what the nature of their relationship is. And I have so many questions about that guy. What is he?
Well, I would assume he is Jerry's familiar.
But he's not. Why does he die the way that he does? Like, he can't be like shot. Like, that gives him special powers.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of I mean, well, again, inconsistent, right? But I think the
Yeah.
idea of a familiar is that I think you
Like a
do get,
Renfield
yeah, like you do get like some, I don't know.
benefits.
Did you ever see that movie Renfield with
I
Nicolas
did.
Cage?
Did you
Yeah,
watch
so
it?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It's got fun and it's got a lot of Nicolas Cage is killing it though in that movie.
he's good. It could have been. I feel like that could have been a 5 minute Funny or Die movie. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little
it's
but
like, yeah,
but
abusive
yeah, okay.
relationship, get it. But like, so I think, but in that
You're
case,
right.
he gets special
He's a
powers.
familiar. Okay. I just didn't I don't know. I felt like maybe they had like a thing. Like they're like romantic, but
Well,
maybe not for the 80s.
I think that's also probably implicit too, right? Just like how I thought like that is like that relationship between vampire and familiar, like is a
I
little.
just think vampires just fuck everybody.
Well,
Like
yeah,
they'll fuck anybody. They just like feeling, eating, touching, like yeah.
gross.
It's
Yeah.
all the
So,
same. Sex, death, little Hellraiser action.
well, that's why I'm like, when Peter Vincent's like, nobody believes in vampires anymore. They just want to see someone with a ski mask slashing up virgins. And I'm like, dude, fucking vampires, like, whole fucking MO is fucking perving and macking on virgins. Like, let's call the kettle a vampire here.
So I wrote down that he says that demented men wearing ski masks killing young virgins. Is he referring to something specific or is he just like making a reference about just like 80s slashers and things like that? I think he's making like a generalized statement, but I was trying to think, I was like, okay, like Last House on the Left, they're not wearing ski masks. Then I thought of the town that dreaded sundown. They're wearing like bags over their heads. So I guess he's just talking about general slashers. But yeah, like yeah,
Yeah.
vampires are total weirdos, total creeps.
That being said, though, Peter Vincent is probably the coolest character.
Oh, he's so good. I
It's
love when he says that he'll go for the $500 savings bond.
Yeah, he's great. And it makes sense, like my Wikipedia search, like they had this idea of like, okay, vampire moves in next door and the kid knows. Like, what does that look like? Kind of like you know, is it like what, like rear window or
Mm-hmm.
Disturbia, but just like with a vampire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I guess they're like, but that doesn't work. That sounds dumb. Everyone's gonna think he's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And but then the idea is like, oh, then we came up with the Peter Vincent character, and then that's when the movie clicked. And I was like, that is probably the coolest element of this. Um, I love. Um, we don't even have to debate our love for Elvira, Mistress of the
No.
Dark, and I love just watching B-C level tier horror movies, like late
Yep.
at night, or even just like anthology horror shows, like, Tales from the
Mm-hmm.
Crypt, of course, and, Twilight Zone. I remember, it was on Nick at Night, and reruns at this point. But even watching like Alfred Hitchcock Presents, which was,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
great theme song, and
Yes.
I just immediately became attached to that character.
Oh
Um,
yeah. There
dude,
it he just reminds you of so many greats that have been on television and, brought horror to television before it was like this hot commodity like it is right now.
of course, named after Peter Cushing and Vincent Price.
Yeah. Yeah,
All
as soon as you hear his name, you're like, okay, I get it.
yeah. Um, Something out of a Wes Carpenter flick.
Yeah.
Same level of
Yep. Of
you
just
know
like, good job. Good job putting that in there.
wink. But he is really like the comedic element of the movie as well. Like
Yeah.
I think any of the actual parts that were like funny jokes, kind of like you were saying, just like how like you know he, poor guy, he's getting, he loses his job,
Getting
he's
evicted.
getting evicted. You can tell he's like, I'll do shit for cash, don't even worry, don't even mind
Mm-hmm.
me. Hey, we all got to work, that man's got a talent. And hey, $500 probably would have paid for the rent, in
Oh,
1985.
absolutely. That's definitely a month of rent. Maybe some groceries
Oh
too. Like,
geez.
I don't even fucking know.
Maybe treat
Um,
yourself to an ice cream cone, I don't know.
so okay, when Peter Vincent and Amy and Ed are together and they're calling Jerry, they're like, obviously like this situation, they're like, oh, we want to prove that you're not a vampire. But he says no crosses because he's born again.
Right, but he's
How
a
does
born
that
again
make sense?
Christian.
Then wouldn't you love crosses?
Yeah, be like, just rub it up on me. Just
Yeah.
yeah,
Like, yeah, give me all that. But
yeah,
and
just
then
oil
the
me up
holy
and cross
water,
me up.
he was like concerned that it was actual holy water. And it's like, okay, like these really big red flags, y'all, like that he doesn't want it to be actual. Like, sure, let me drink some holy water. Like it's not going to do shit because I'm a human. So it would have been fun if it actually was holy water and he'd like sipped it and thought, that would have changed the whole course of the movie. But
That's what I was waiting for. Was that for everyone to turn around and him to like spit it out, or for him to like everyone leaves and
yeah,
he goes like
yeah,
and you find out that his tongue is like sizzled off and has to grow back and he
yeah,
can't talk, and something like that. But it was like, wait, dude, y'all like caved like pretty immediately, and like also,
yeah,
again, these dumb children. It's like they paid him $500 and
yeah.
he is just
Did
uh, you know
nothing.
but he doesn't, he was a man, he doesn't have his faith anymore in his own vampire
Hmm.
fighting confidence.
I
I don't
do
know.
love everything that happens in the house when they're like when they go in there, just like the way that the two of them are, like the way that Jerry and what is his familiar's name? I keep forgetting his damn name.
Let me see. Billy.
Billy. Like the way that they like look at each other every time something happens, like they're so suspicious. They're not acting like normal people at all. Like everyone should be concerned,
It reminded
especially
me
Peter Vincent, because he's a grown ass man.
it reminded me a little bit, I don't know, just because I know we talked about the invitation. It just reminded me of like David and Pruitt,
Yes.
like, and the way they
Yes.
would just give each other looks, and just kind of like as they're kind of like guiding people through the house, and everyone's like, I don't know, and I'm just like, what's going on? What the fuck are you
Everyone's
two
just
up
fine
to?
with it. Yeah. Like if you're
Yeah,
just like giving sideways glances at someone else in the room, like something's going to go down. Something's off here. But I absolutely love him pulling out that like compact. First of all, what is he checking on? Is he checking his hair just before he leaves the house to go off and drive by himself? So that was interesting. But I love when he actually like drops it and realizes that he is a vampire because he doesn't cast a reflection. That is really fun.
well,
Um,
especially because Ed references that because he did that in a movie
uh-huh.
prior, right? So that was nice. I like that a lot. I just another quick thing, just when he is talking to Amy more intently about like I need help with the vampire, went and talked to, Peter Vincent. He's not helping. Her first thing is this just a trick to get me back? And what I forgot to bring this
Say
up
that. Yeah,
earlier.
I'm like, are you not back?
She reminds me of like I know Kate Capshaw from Temple of Doom,
Okay.
where she just this just nonsensical overreaction to a
Yeah.
lot, or just big
Yeah.
reactions to things,
Yeah.
and a little bit Gadget from Chippendale Rescue Rangers. I think that's just like the overalls and the oh shucks kind of attitude, like an 8-year-old. And then she
Yeah.
reminds me of do you remember Laura Flynn Boyle's character from Wayne's World, like
Of
Stacy,
course
the
I do.
girlfriend?
I just watched Wayne's World. Love
I don't
her.
I don't own a gun, let alone many guns that would necessitate an entire gun rack.
Yeah.
Um, but it just so this is just a trick to get me back. Like just her whole mannerisms and just how quickly she's like, nope, it's my fault, and
Yeah.
just
I mean, this
I thought
is
it was pretty
this
funny.
is a man writing a teenage girl
I
in the
know.
80s. Like she's dumb, she's impressionable, she's, letting her boyfriend be a complete dick. Like I tried my best to, as I always do, like to keep my lens like in that time, but it's hard. It's very, very hard. To do that with horror. It's one of those things, like especially like there's always like nudity and things like that, like that they should like that beautiful woman in the beginning who has like immaculate breasts. Like I'm like, did she have to audition? Like they were just like, okay, take your top off, let's see him. Like, yep, she's the one. Great, no speaking lines. I just imagine that going that way at that time. Um, if nothing else, it makes me happy for the amount of change that there is. Because I'm like, I remember talking to my coworker who is, I don't know how old he would be now, but I think he's like 10 years younger. Yeah, so he's probably 26 now, but he was 10 years younger than me at the time. And he was talking about he asked me like the most basic question. This is such like an inappropriate conversation that I was having with a coworker. But he asked me like a question about like how to please a woman, basically. And I was like, do you not understand the anatomy like that's happening down there? And he's like, well, no, we didn't really go over it in sex ed. And I was like, okay, well, that's wild. I was like, I'm gonna need you to pull that shit up in a book somewhere. I was like, what did they talk about? Just like abstinence? And he was like, oh no. He's like, they talked about consent. Like everything was about consent. And I was like, right. I was like, that's a step in the right direction, because that was I didn't even never had heard of that when sex ed for us was abstinence.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
before
you're pregnant or you've got STIs. Like,
I appreciate that it's like no, even before you even ask,
yeah.
where the bits are on that genitalia, you need to ask all the consent first, and then they will provide you a tour, maybe.
Yeah, like, but I mean, also, but so yeah, I don't know where I was going with that point, but the whole point was like I was like, okay, like when I watch things like this, sometimes I'm just like, oh, like I'm glad that things are like extremely slowly getting like going into the right direction.
Yeah,
But like,
I was prepping for you to like say like yeah, that they're just it's all just abstinence only nonsense still.
no, no.
Mm.
But I mean, that's in San Diego. So, there are plenty of places where it is abstinence only still. Which is setting people up to be Charlies because they don't know how to ask and how to be patient or respectful. Like, but also like teach your fucking sons that shit. Like, I have an 8-year-old son. He's gonna be the most respectful motherfucker in town. I like that's the best way I could have said that. But literally, like, but it's on you. Like, it is absolutely on you. Like, I don't trust the school to provide him with how to be like a good man, a good gentleman. Okay, maybe Charlie is shitty. Fine.
Thanks. I know you'd get there. I know he's in that other movie you like. It's hard. hey, you know what?
I wasn't
Hey,
saying he's wonderful.
I
He was a
listen.
perfect guy.
I
Jeez.
hey, I listen to Morrissey still. Like, look, there's
I
some
do sometimes
things.
too.
There's some things we gotta, separate the art from the artist. I don't know. I'm not sure if this. The other thing too is, yeah. So all right, so they don't bother with the cross and they don't bother with the holy water. It's like it's just tap water, just drink it, like whatever.
Yeah.
And kind of the same thing with the cross. Like there are a couple times where they allude to like and this is heard in other vampire lore where the cross is ineffective if the holder does not believe in it. You know, to which would
That feels
only
kind of
just
silly.
I would only politely nudge back and say, like, hey, look, I am a staunch atheist. But you know what? If I don't believe in vampires, but if vampires just start showing the fuck up,
Oh,
like
you'll believe in that
that
cross?
then I'm like, well, then clearly okay, like I'm also I try to be humble too. I can admit if I'm wrong. It's just like, look, if I start seeing that, then yeah, okay. I will be more inclined to believe that this cross has power to repel that because fuck, might as well try, so that's
Where where my pushback comes on the believing on the cross for it to be effective is, let's say for instance you want to protect a space. You don't have to believe in garlic. It just works. So I'm like, shouldn't you be able to put crosses around in a room and that would then deter the vampire? Like if they're on their own, are they functioning? You know what I mean? Like that doesn't seem fair. That someone had to be
yeah.
holding it and believing in it.
Yeah, crosses only tend to work when the plot needs it to,
Yes.
generally. Or they just get turned upside down because they like to be funny and say like, see, look what we did. That's a spooky
Yeah,
thing.
and
We made them all.
their power varies. Like in this movie, when effective, it like keeps them at quite a distance. Whereas like it's something like Buffy, like there are vampires who are bold enough that are just like, go ahead, like press it up on me, let it burn through my skin, and they're fine.
Yeah, it burns
So
them like a brand. Well, because I mean that's how
yeah.
poor Ed's now got the X on his head. It reminds me of I forget which Jackass movie it was
Oh
when they
gosh.
like branded Bam Margera
Oof.
with like a brand in like the shape of a penis,
Oh
and they
my
were like
god.
trying that on each other.
I've never
So
seen any of those movies.
it just, you know what, hey, that's a separate art from the artist because yeah, Bam Margera, what can you do? But he's got some stuff he's working through him. But those movies are pretty. I would put one of those movies in a time capsule and say this is just as important to American cinema as a lot of other things. It's pretty
It's
wonderful.
very representative of I watched the show when it was like first like a big thing. I remember it was a big deal. But I've never made it to the theater to watch the Jackass movies.
Yeah. I say I feel like I feel like I leapfrogged the show right into the movies but I remember watching plenty of like, I don't know. I guess it all gets kind of wrapped up. I guess I was just watching like a lot of like skate videos, and a lot of like, and there's always like the ones where just like, they just eat shit, and they just show
Yeah.
like those
Yeah.
clips a bunch. So I feel like that was like an evolution
I
into
will
that. I
I
don't
will
know.
say this. I of course I always have to measure hotness. Johnny Knoxville has been aging well. With the white hair, he was not young man, like in the Silver Fox action. So shout out to him for aging like a fine wine.
Good for him. I mean, I don't know. His inside's probably not as much. I'm sure
Oh,
there's probably plenty of trauma, but the
his
outside,
teeth are probably complete, like just like dentures at this point. Like I don't think he actually has any actual real teeth.
sometimes I think about that. Like, gosh, what if I just like replaced all my teeth with fake teeth? Like,
Oh, your teeth are nice. They're so straight.
thank you.
They're so
I
straight.
appreciate
It's so
that.
white.
Yeah, but you don't really get, but then I just think I don't have to bother that, as much with upkeep.
Wait, did you have braces?
Yes.
Did
I
I
have
know you with braces? No.
maybe you were like right afterwards because
Yeah.
braces, I got those off in like sophomore year. I want to say early sophomore year.
Yeah, it's probably
Uh,
right before we met. Yeah.
yeah. So but I didn't wear my bottom retainer, so I've got one crooked tooth that my mother always points out, because I did not wear
Because
my
she paid,
retainer.
because she fucking paid for those braces and she paid for that retainer. So she has
I
every
know.
right to point that shit out to you every time.
That's fair. You know what? Good call. Thank you. I love you, Mom. So really just a bad plan with Peter Vincent just coming
Yeah.
in, just taking their money. And even like on his way out, yeah, he does see, yeah, the no reflection, but then he's like, fuck this noise, I'm getting out of here.
They're
And
also just not quiet. Like they're like yelling about
oh
him
yeah,
definitely being a vampire right in front of his house. I'm like, y'all, like, it's great if you don't want to be murdered.
like go down the street, go to a Denny's,
Yeah.
talk this through.
Yeah. It's like, what are you doing?
And because they're so fucking loud and stupid, like Jerry just immediately is like, well, okay, I'm gonna go fucking take care of these kids. And really only has to just tell Ed, like, hey man, these people are really shitty to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, you want to like not be
And they're
bullied anymore?
and they're just like walking through dark alleys.
Did they say where this movie takes place?
Mm, no. At least I don't remember a mention of where it takes place. It's would be LA, right? If Peter Vincent is he goes to like a studio.
Family Feud films in Atlanta, so
Okay. Well, my best guess is LA, especially because that might be where they actually filmed it. But the they're walking Amy home is why they're but like could we pick more crowded paths than the dark alleys just casually walking?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
so and again, so Jerry only has to say like, yeah, bro, like these people fucking hate you. Like, do you, you,
Hmm.
and to be honest, like I do too. Like Ed's a lot.
Yeah,
He
he's a
sounds
lot.
like it was. I felt like the direction they gave him was like, just you're just fucking loaded and like
Yeah.
it's like almost if like someone just doing the worst exaggeration of someone just like loaded on morphine, like after a surgery and they're just loopy and just saying like the
Yeah.
wildest shit. He
Yeah.
just his reactions are just so weird and nothing makes sense. And I'm like,
Well,
I
that's
don't
I
know.
like him better as a vampire, like 1000%, because then his obnoxiousness makes total sense. Like you're a fearless beast now. Like you're immortal. Go for it. Like annoy the shit out of people because you can fight anybody. But yeah, he is very easily convinced, and I don't know if that's part of the like that lore hypnosis that vampires have, or if he actually is just like, you know what, sure, why not?
And they and then even then they hear him scream, and then they're just like, oh, Evil Edge is probably being an asshole. Even though, like, dude,
There is
we're
a
just
vampire out.
yeah, Jesus Christ. Like, he's probably just being an asshole, not
Yeah.
being hunted by this vampire that's like definitely said he was gonna kill us.
Yeah.
And they follow them into this club.
Oh, this is my
Um
favorite part.
yeah, mine too. It's pretty
I
fun. I
love the club.
and
Yes. In
I
the 80s. It's like a little time capsule.
dude, and that song's so fucking good.
It's so good. Like the switch into the song, like mid dance. Let's
Yeah.
like watch your girl, Charlie. Oh,
It,
so good at ignoring her.
well, and that's the thing. It's just like even now, even still, he's not giving a
Hold her
shit about
hand,
her.
even. Like
Tired of something, put a bell on her. I don't know, just so you know where she is. Like, what's
fell on
going
her.
on? I don't know. It's like, yeah, so it's pretty bad where they're like first, but I also know, we are as elder millennials, we are the last to remember what it was like having to rely on finding a payphone to
Oh,
call somebody.
yeah.
Why would they put the payphone in like the club like that? What
It
other
should be
club
like down a hall, like off
like
to
by
the
the bat?
side or right outside. Yeah, by the bathroom. Like
Yeah.
So they were trying to do that, I think, while still giving access to the dance floor, because then how else would you have that fucking dramatic ass moment where she sees Jerry and he's like walking back and forth, just like direct eye contact.
So
Every
good.
every cut, just closer, closer, closer till he's right fucking there. I was like, I'd be fucking on that dance floor right there. Give
Dude,
me some Chris Sarandon.
he's
This is
so
my
good.
thirstiest episode yet. I'm sorry, everyone.
I love it. I'm here for it.
I love Chris Sarandon.
And I know, me too. He is like the only I'm hoping one day. I don't know if he'll do it, but like he's like one of the only cast members from Child's Play to like not come back to that series yet. Like
And
in
Katherine
Chucky.
Heigl, but she talked a lot of shit.
Yeah, we don't need that. I thought you were gonna
Yeah.
say Catherine, who
Catherine
plays
Hicks.
Catherine Hicks. Yeah.
Oh
I
my
don't
gosh.
need
If she
lip.
comes back and her husband is still active in this franchise, like, come on.
I know, right? So where was I going with this? Yeah,
Well, she's
I
getting seduced.
she's getting seduced. I like this whole scene. I think that it's, and it's hard to be like, she is a child. I'm like, still, but I'm like, yeah, no, that's just vampires just being rapey and weird. And,
Yeah,
and
they
of
like him
course,
young.
yeah. And he smelled the nervous virgin on her like immediately, like well before that.
Yeah, and she
Oh, I
looks.
like,
They like kind of not really dropped that plot like of her looking like someone that he was with in the past.
right. Yeah, they showed that painting. I also,
She has the
when
same
they,
stupid fucking headband.
yeah, I know, the
The
same,
painting.
the same haircut. Just like, okay, that, sure, that's a choice. But that's why I didn't understand that part. I thought like that was like supposed to be like a painting of her. But
No.
yeah, so I did like when they first brought Peter Vincent over to Jerry's house, and he does the thing like, he like kisses, Amy's hand. It's like, what's a vampire supposed to do, right, Charlie? And he laughs. And then
Yeah.
she's like totally flattered, totally hot and bothered for him. But
Yeah.
again, like a 9-year-old, she's just goes, wow, he's so neat. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that is not what you're feeling right now, is that he's
Yeah.
neat.
No.
That is not. But she just doesn't know how to process just that sexual awakening inside her. So she
yeah,
just
absolutely.
so she just goes like, wow, that's neat. I don't know. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But I did think, yeah, this weird half attempt of trying to justify it by being like, no, is possibly a reincarnation of his lost love or something. And I just go, reborn lost love? Okay, pervert. I'm like, no, don't.
But okay, can we talk about this dance? Can we talk about the choreography of this dance?
Oh yeah, take the creepiness out of it. Let's just, because it's
Let's take
beautiful.
take the age creepiness out of it, because the actress is a woman. Okay. She's young. She's a young woman, but this dance is sexy as fuck. The way, so he like grabs up behind her, like they like roll their hips together, like the reach up the skirt. Oh my goodness. And then she drops down to her knees, like she gets down low, like kissing his chest. It was a fever. It's a great scene. And the song isn't even that sexy. It's like a 80s like pop song, but it just fits the vibe.
Yeah. And just stupid Charlie,
Stupid Charlie.
calling Peter, calling Peter Vincent. Peter Vincent's like, no, bro, I'm good. I don't know if this is before or after Peter Vincent gets attacked by Ed.
It's after.
Is it after? Okay, where he's just like, no, bro, I'm not fucking with this. Even though he shows like, yeah, dude, I can fuck up a vampire pretty easy. He just lets her, again, like,
I'd be like, Charlie, please don't cock block me. Like,
yeah, dude, it's like,
we
Charlie,
can get
like,
it. You can't.
Dude, pretty much. I'm like, so stop it. Yeah, I don't know. He just notices her, pays attention to her.
Yeah.
Come on.
Literally.
I did like, at this point, with Ed, and then later on with Amy and the other effects, like I thought the special effects are so good. Like everything. Oh
my gosh, so good.
I love those monster effects. My little Wikipedia search, it's the same effects team that did Ghostbusters. They just came off of doing Ghostbusters. And did this one.
when they're leaving the club and he's like attacking the bouncers. Love that. Him like getting out of there. Everybody's like running. They're all getting separated and shit. Like,
Clearly, he doesn't care about being anonymous anymore.
no. And that's and because at first when they're running from him and they like go down the dark alley, I'm like, why didn't you all stay in that group of people? But apparently that wouldn't have been the safe choice regardless, because he did not give a care how many people were around. But I mean, Amy ends up going with him, which honestly, after that dance, so would I.
That's my thing. Yet again, our was is staying with Charlie like the right choice, like for Ed or
No,
Amy
no.
or
For
Charlie's
that,
mom or anybody?
I
Like,
mean, the eternal youth, like he can buy whatever he wants. Like, come on, it's great.
I like the idea of eternal youth and then being able to turn into a mean old fanged monster if I want to. Like, just
Yeah,
go switch back and forth. I like
yeah.
that. So Jerry takes off with Amy. And
Hmm.
then one thing I thought was a little strange. So I guess is just the 80s, I guess. I was like, did they all need to like take their tops off first for him to
No,
be a vampire?
he just wants to see more skin.
And
Like
he doesn't.
that's definitely a skin thing. I have a question. Okay, so this is during that part. This is before the top comes off. They're sitting on the rug, super hot, making out, doing all the things. He goes to like bite her. Like he kind of leans over like to her, but he doesn't bite her. And she like reacts like something happened. Like what was he doing? Like where were his hands? Is my question.
I have no idea. It
Like
was very unclear and
did you catch
uncomfortable.
that though? Did you
Yeah,
catch that? Yeah. Like so where did his hands go? Is my like is that what was happening?
I guess so. I have no idea. But the one thing I notice is that when he does bite her, dude, he's not even close to her neck. He's biting her
No,
shoulder.
shoulder.
Can you just bite some, like, is that a vampire thing? Can
They
you
could
just
bite
bite someone
someone
anywhere?
anywhere, really. I mean, I thought that, and again, this is one of those things like that's debatable that there's a process to like being able to turn someone into a vampire, but like one of the seemingly non-negotiable things is that you do bite them from the neck to turn them. Like even when you see Ed when he shows Peter Vincent, it is right on his neck, like that like major artery that you can like take your pulse from. So I don't know. Even later when they show her, you can see the little bite marks and it's on her shoulder. So it lines up with where they showed him biting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's strange.
and I suppose that's probably why they decapitated the other women so they wouldn't see the bite marks. I guess.
Perhaps.
Would
Yeah.
be my best guess. I don't know. But, Charlie, being as useless as he fucking is, goes back to Peter Vincent, knowing that he's the only person who can help me at this point. And
Yeah.
good thing he comes around and says, "Okay,
Hmm.
I'm gonna kill this fucking vampire. I'm feeling pretty good now."
In the
And also,
outfit, he puts on the whole shebang.
dude, he's so cool. I love it. Um, and then then they go take care of Billy, who's like a zombie now or something. I didn't know exactly how all that works out, but again,
Wait, did we skip over when he kills Ed? That happens
well,
beforehand, right?
allegedly kills Ed. You think, right? Because at the end, you hear Ed laughing at the end, thinking that
Yes,
he's
but
when he
I'm
turns into a
confused.
wolf
He
and does that
turns
whole
into
thing.
a wolf, but it feels like very werewolfy.
Yeah,
Is it that these vampires can just shapeshift into an animal other than
Th-
bats in this world?
man, I
That
don't
I've
know.
never heard of. And when I saw the wolf, it confused me because I was like, wait, is he a werewolf?
Well, that's also what I don't understand. Like, and I'm like, maybe I thought you would needed to at least, if you wanted the power to turn into a werewolf as a vampire, you'd need to be bitten by a vampire that also turned into a wolf. But
Yeah.
I think, or you could have sold this idea of like, sure, they can shapeshift into any animal they choose, but why would you pick wolf? Because it's just it's so known with werewolves
Danger.
specifically,
Yeah, yeah,
who
werewolf. Yeah, like what?
who are famously in direct opposition. of
Hmm.
vampires. So that's a bad look. I don't know. So you
It
could
was
pick
an
any animal.
interesting choice. But that being said, the practical effects on the stabbed wolf, like, and him morphing back into Ed is really amazing to watch. And I also thought of you because I was like, Kyle, why do you keep picking movies that have dog, wolf, coyote violence?
I don't know. I swear to
I
God, I
picked The
don't.
Invitation actually. So
But it's a good movie though. But yeah, dude, just Peter Vincent just kicking ass. And then he's like, "Yeah, dude, I'm feeling pretty good. He just needed one just to hype him up. He just needed that.
yeah.
He just needed that one little taste." And he's like, "Oh, I'm back.
He's like, I
I'm
am a vampire killer.
I'm back, motherfuckers. Let's fucking go. It is Fright Night,
Yes.
but for you,
Yeah.
fucking assholes." And so they go and dispatch Billy, kind of a la Raiders of the Lost Ark, where he just kind of just melts and just
Yeah.
milk and goo just kind of
Yeah. It looks
fall.
great.
Yeah, it looks so good. I
Yeah.
loved it.
Everything in this movie that has to do with like transformations, killings, goo, blood, it all looks so fantastic.
I loved when they finally killed Jerry, and you can see he's like turning into he like what he's the form he's taking, like when he's
Yeah.
finally,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I think you tried is alluding like that is his like
His
real
true
form,
form. Yeah.
is this just giant ass kind of bat monster
Hmm.
demon situation. I thought that looked pretty cool. I thought Amy's makeup looked super cool, even if watching it like in
Yes.
HD, it's like, oh, that's clearly, yeah, clearly you can see the
Yeah.
prosthetics, but I like just the eye
But
makeup
that
and the.
mouth, how far it spreads across her face is really good. It is funny the hair growth thing. I didn't understand why they did that piece because I'm like, you showed us a painting of a woman that looks like her with the same haircut. So why the need to have her hair grow out longer? That felt really strange, like just a strange choice.
It's like kind of maybe they mistook it as like you get like an injury and it heals kind of thing. They were just like,
Yeah.
like maybe it's like, yeah, we can fix like the cut in your arm, sure we can fix the broken bone, and yeah, we're gonna fix that haircut too. So maybe it's like that kind of
You made a bad
situation.
choice.
Yeah, like just the vampire element just took it upon itself just to do I don't know.
Also, another thing with Amy and her transformation, like I kind of call bullshit on her going back to normal because my understanding from what he had said was that, like, oh, we need to kill him before sunrise. Like the sun was out. It was, it
It
had
was the
been out.
sunrise that killed him. Yeah.
Yes, like it had been out. Like it was sunny. So I'm like, technically, she should have been a permanent vampire. And in my opinion. But he also said that that might not be true.
Right. Well, and then also only she turns back. Ed does not.
Yeah.
Or you're led to believe Ed does not, and looking at the sequels, like, you know,
Yeah.
he would still be a vampire. But
Yeah.
yeah, dang, I like it. Just smashing up windows. It's a little
Hmm.
bit from dusk till dawn, a little bit. Granted, this movie was 10 years, 11 years earlier,
Yeah.
but
I'm
it's
sure
not
there
my.
was inspiration there because I think there's a vampire in From Dusk Till Dawn that also has that. Like a lot of them have a really wide mouth, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe they were inspired.
They look like, shit, I forget her name from Mortal Kombat.
Melina.
Melina. That's it. Thank you.
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
She was my favorite.
yeah, hell yeah. Um, yeah, kind of dispatch Jerry, kind of take care of it, and things work themselves out. And Peter Vincent's like, I'm a real vampire killer now, so I guess they're gonna give me my TV show back. I guess I don't know if it
Yeah. I
works
don't know
that
how
way,
that worked out. Yeah.
but sure. And then and then just like fucking Charlie like gets what he wants,
Yeah.
which is
I would be like, you know
bullshit.
what? You put my ass in danger. I'm done with you. What? And they don't show his mom again. Like, I'm like, is she safe?
She's been gone since.
Like
Yeah,
the middle
yeah,
of the movie. Yeah,
yeah,
like Ed was in that house, right?
yeah. So I
I'm
have
like,
no idea.
Yeah, I'm like, what happened to his mom? Because in the remake, the mom is like way more she's a character. She's a fully fleshed character. In this, like not so much, which is fine because she's pretty annoying. But yeah,
I
who
mean, maybe
knows if she's
it's,
okay.
I don't know. When you got Toni Collette in that role, it's like, maybe we should give her more to do.
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
Always.
Um so there is, I don't know if I want to, maybe I'll talk about it in terms of my boo score.
Hmm.
Um anything else you want to touch base? I went through all my notes. Is there anything else you want to touch base on before we kind of
You know,
wrap
I
up
have
some thoughts?
I have taglines.
Ooh, yeah, okay. Let's give me some taglines first.
There, okay, I will admit I was quite disappointed for this one. I thought this movie of all movies would have a really fun selection, like, given that Friday the 13th had 13 options, which was a lot, and they were very diverse. This one, not so much. So for this movie, we only have three taglines, which is short, and two of them are almost the same. So I'm going to read those two first, and you can tell me which one you think is better. There are some very good reasons to be afraid, dot, 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 of the dark. Okay. Then we have, there are good reasons to be afraid of the dark. No, dot, dot, dot. I was like, all right, like, I get it because vampires, like, they only come out at night. Sure. And then you've got, if you love being scared, it'll be the night of your life. I feel like they didn't put their heart into
Mm,
these taglines.
yeah, I mean, at least, yeah, I think I probably like the last one the best.
They're very lackluster for how fun the movie is.
Yeah, and for how
But
silly the
honestly, I
concept
can't
is.
think of something better. Like, I'm not going to say that I could come up with a better tagline. You've been pretty good.
Not off the top of my head. I don't know. Audience, throw us some taglines. Maybe some good taglines for Fright Night,
Yeah. Somebody's got to have great ideas out there.
right? I don't know. I can't think of any right now. But so this movie came out in 1985. There was a 2011 remake.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that kind of came out. That was like kind of like at the tail end of when they were doing just kind of remakes and in particular 3D remakes of
Yeah.
everything. Um,
Yeah.
and I went and saw this. Like I remember the movie, the original one, kind of barely, kind of like you said. I watched it last when I was like 15 or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and then seeing this remake. I don't know if this is a hot take, but I think the remake improves on a lot of this movie. Now, this movie
I think so
is.
too.
I think this movie's really fun. I really like Fright Night.
Mm-hmm.
It is, it's a three boo movie for me, and again, three's great. Honestly,
Yeah.
two is still good. It's just when you get sub two, you're just like, geez, man, that's rough. I still find plenty of things to like in the two boo movie.
I
Um,
have a lot of problems when I give something two boos.
you in particular, it's just a lot of the character stuff that they really just gloss over. Like there's no reason for any of these people to be around each other. I don't
Yeah.
get the sense that any of these kids like each other, like
Yeah.
other than you just telling me that they're in relationships and they talk, and
Mm-hmm.
because they're all just, I mean, it was just really, it's Charlie being just shitty to everybody. So that was, like I said, I think the movie is just a constant exercise in ignoring him, and wanting to just root for Peter Vincent, and
Mm-hmm.
the with the remake, putting it in Las Vegas is way cooler.
Yeah.
There's a reason, people are up all the time anyway, so there's a
Mm-hmm.
reason why this dude just works at night. I think he's like a construction worker. They do get rid of the live-in carpenter, which, I mean, you could have kept him, would have been fine.
Yeah.
But you make Charlie like at least a little likable, and then you add that
Mm-hmm.
dynamic that I don't think they even explain still why they call him Evil Ed, but that, there's more of like a falling out between them, and he's kind of on the fence because like he's with like, the super popular girl and wants to get in with all the
Mm-hmm.
popular people, but also knows he was a dork with his pal Ed.
Mm-hmm.
And even my favorite part of the 85 Fright Night is probably, Roddy McDowell is Peter Vincent. But dang, David Tennant comes really close. If not, like it's just a
That
different it's a
version,
it's a different brilliance. I think that,
yeah.
and it makes, and especially tying into the Vegas part where it's like, no, he's not like a TV star. He's this, fucking goth vampire Vegas magician,
I
which is
love it so
so
much.
cool.
Yeah. And
So
I love
cool.
when he like now we're like just talking about the Fright Night remake, but the scene where he's like in his, in his suite and he just slowly takes off like the wig, the eyebrow piercing, like all the jewelry, and he just turns into this totally like normal average looking guy from like a Chris Angel looking motherfucker. Like
Just
it's
just
so good.
drinking just drinking straight Midori.
Yeah.
I'm like, ew. I'm like, bro.
I think the remake is very fun and fast paced and like it feels I don't know, it just feels like you said all the characters make more sense together than in this one. But this one holds a special place in my heart because anything 80s. Um
Right. The music's better. I like the
yeah,
the the effects better in this one
yeah,
because
the
it's
effects are
definitely
so good.
more practical. It's hard to compare, just different types of wonderful performances. I do think Chris Sarandon edges out Colin Farrell as far as just being just a charming motherfucker, even though
Yeah.
Colin Farrell's
He's
pretty fun in that movie.
he's good. He's good too, but less he feels more sinister than
Yeah.
Chris Sarandon does, like the way that they dress him and all like he's like a little bit more menacing.
Yeah. So I would give this movie 3 boos. Maybe that remake 3.5. Um,
You're gonna spoil that for everyone?
uh,
Wow.
you think we're gonna do a whole separate one on the Fright Night remake?
No, no, I don't think we will. But I think this is three boos for me as well. Yeah. And you know what? I think I agree on your 3.5 for the remake.
And you just put like, gosh, like I said, you got, come on, industry legend Tony Collette, who,
Oh,
you know,
he's unstoppable.
and
She's funny too. That's the best thing. Like she's like she can be dramatic, she can be funny, like all the things. She's great. Have you ever seen Muriel's Wedding?
no,
You should watch that. She's basically a woman who has this delusion. She's fully convinced that she has a fiance and she's planning a wedding and she's getting married, but this person doesn't even exist. And it's like a dark comedy. It's old. I want to say it's from like maybe the early 2000s, like early aughts, like late 90s. No, it's got to be past 2000, but it's fun.
okay, I'll check that out.
Yeah.
Um, I certainly like Christopher Mintz-Plasse, Mr. Mintz-Plasse, better. I like his Evil Ed much better than
Yeah.
this dude. Oh my
Yeah.
god, that was just hard. I think every line delivery, even though, like you said, you're right. When he turns, the
Hmm.
voice makes more sense. So it's like, well, maybe you
Yes,
are.
everything makes more sense. Like he was just meant to be a vampire, is that kid's problem.
So maybe the Evil Ed thing was really just preemptive. Like, well, there's nothing you do that's evil, but we've got a feeling.
It feels like there's a dark cloud just kind of
Something's going to be happening
hovering over you.
at some point. But yeah, gosh. Yeah, so you hit 3. I think it's strong. I really like it. I would
Mhm.
definitely recommend it. Now, certainly it's just like, yeah, just that active obstacle of just Charlie just being awful. It's like, if you can get past all of that, this movie is still so much fun. I love all the music, all the effects are
Yeah.
great. Almost all the performances are awesome.
Yeah.
Like it is so weird watching this movie when you are it's just the more sexual they make, like Amy, right? And I'm still
Hmm.
thinking like this is still Marcy,
Yeah.
who is like, was really like the butt of a lot of jokes
Oh yeah.
because of like how they made her up and how they dressed her and her looks, and
Yeah.
all of that stuff. So it was nice watching this and being like, yeah, see, so fucking go get it. Like,
No, she's super cute. I think her face is actually very sexy too. Like when they have like barely any makeup on her to make her look 17 and innocent. And then, of course, there's like a darker blush on her. She's like, being seduced and vamping out. Like even her hair gets like more like teased on like somehow on the dance floor, like it before even becoming a vampire. I was like, wow, just being that turned on just made her hair just come alive.
it's
And the
the
clips went away too. The giant clips. Where the fuck did they go?
I
Blew off.
know.
What? Like I love a hair and makeup change that makes no sense. Like that situation. And then like she was wearing another jacket and that disappeared too. And then she just had the blue top on. So yeah, she looked great. I don't think anyone gave Marcy enough credit.
I know. Well, she I was seeing like what she like, what other things she was in, because even like Wikipedia it just only mentions like Married with Children in this movie, but she directs a lot, does a
Oh,
lot of behind the
okay.
camera TV stuff. So that's pretty cool.
Put on her.
Yeah. So good for her. I think she still goes to like cons and stuff like that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
I would watch a Peter Vincent movie.
oh my god, I would watch all the Peter Vincent movies.
Like his acting is so bad, like in the clips that they show, like you could see it just being so fun.
It makes sense why him and Chris Sarandon, get my MVPs, because they definitely have the most to chew on in terms of
Hmm.
like the fun shit they get to do. I love the
Yeah.
idea of just Roddy McDowell just like hamming it up and all the like fake TV movie stuff that he got to shoot. Like
Oh
I'm
my
sure that
gosh, how
oh that
fun.
shit was so much fun to do. But
Yeah.
and that was, I guess, part of it, that he was like super down for like all of it. It was like, this shit's gonna be super fun. I love this.
Yeah.
Um so good for him. Well, our Fright Night is coming to a close. Anything
The
else you want
most,
to?
the most frightening part of this movie is the lack of consent. The
Yeah,
vampire the vampires are neither here nor there.
yeah, geez, oh, yeah, I know. And I think that's the thing. It's like, I mean, if the movie even like wanted to take half a step in saying anything, I know this movie would, and not the '85 one. Maybe if they kept the same dynamics in a remake and showing like, okay, this monster is like, okay, just doing like the same creepy, pervy, weird shit that you're doing, dude. Like, there's no, so this idea of like, come to me, I'm the better option, I'm not an evil monster. And it's like, well, no, bro, you,
Like at least he's got some like hypnotizing effects going on, like
yeah, dude,
the smoke and mirrors.
At least Chris Sarandon is like hot and like has
Mm-hmm.
certainly,
Mm-hmm.
has enough money to keep like a live-in carpenter and owns his
Which
own
everyone dreams
house.
of having one day.
I just like the idea of like, no, I can't be bothered. I just wake up one day and I'm like, hey, I need an end table. Can you do that for me? Or
We'll get that
even,
started today.
yeah. I thought it was very funny how there's a lot. It really wasn't until they got into the house and Peter Vincent saw the lack of reflection in the mirror. Everything up until that point, it's not like Charlie ever saw anything that was like, no, this dude's absolutely a vampire. He just saw, like, he never saw a body in any of
No,
those
that's
trash
not true.
bags.
When he comes into his house, remember he breaks into the house and locks the mom in the
Oh, okay,
room
yeah.
and
I mean,
attacks him. He sees him vamped out.
everything up until that point, then,
Okay. Okay.
where
That's
he was already like absolutely convinced he's a vampire, and I'm just like, maybe the
I'd
dude
be
is a
convinced he
live-in
was a serial
carpenter.
killer. He
Oh yeah,
definitely like you saw that woman go in there and then you saw her on the news. Like
yeah,
that's not looking too good.
yeah. I don't know. Well, gosh, we were welcomed to Fright Night, and we live to tell the tale. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just not good at closing these things. It's been an absolute pleasure, Natalie. Anything else you want to
Yeah.
say on Fright Night? We good?
No, it was great. I really enjoyed watching it. I'm glad that you picked it. It had been 20 years since I watched it last.
Hell yeah. It's
Um,
good. It's a lot of
it's
fun.
good. And I did not purchase it. I did find it for free. So look at that. We're learning, we're growing, we're evolving.
I used a free trial of AMC Plus, and I absolutely know I'm going to forget and have that
No, it's on
automatically renewed.
Amazon.
No, it's on Amazon, but through some AMC. Okay, I don't have.
Oh, I
See,
have AMC Plus. I don't know why.
oh, there you go. That's probably why.
That's probably your fault. I don't know why I have AMC Plus. I'm still paying for it. I don't know.
Dude, that happens. That's where they get you. Okay. Well,
There
take
you
care,
have it.
Natalie. There we go. Gonna close it up on Fright Night. Thanks, everybody. 3, 2, 1, ghost.
Thanks for listening to our episode on Fright Night and helping us start November off with a fang. If you're enjoying our podcast and want to know what we're up to, you can follow us on Instagram at 321ghostpod. We would appreciate if you left us a killer review on whichever streaming platform you're listening on, and don't forget to give us a follow. You won't live forever, so do it today. You can also reach us by email at 321ghostpod@gmail.com if you have any comments, questions, or want to recommend a movie you'd like to hear us chat about. Join us next week to discuss the 2022 hit Barbarian. Thank you again for tuning in with us, and remember, if you suspect your new neighbor might be a vampire, mind your goddamn business.